Good afternoon. My name is Allison Barkley, and I'm here interviewing my mentor, my principal, Dr. Laura Sims. Dr. Sims, we're going to be talking about how you perceive the roles of school people that are involved in the school improvement plan, just planning in general, and how that impacts student learning. So, my first question for you is can you explain what your role is as the principal when you're doing the school improvement plan?
Well, I view myself as a facilitator. I help guide with our mission and vision, but actually, our vision that we have for our school is decided amongst our whole entire school, meaning all of our stakeholders, which would be our teachers, our students. Although with the younger students, it's oftentimes the older ones, but still they do have a stake in what we're doing as far as our vision and what direction we want to go into, as well as our community.
Right. Okay. Um, what is how do their positions and each of the positions in that plan influence school-wide achievement, the students as a whole?
Right. All right. So we develop a leadership team, and with our leadership team, we try to take every effort to make sure that we're getting a broad spectrum of everyone's beliefs, from different grades, from different subject areas, and from different responsibilities within our school. So
Right.
when you develop your leadership team, you're getting a sample of what would be within your school. So we always try to make sure that we have an upper grade, a primary grade teacher. We make sure that we have our technology coordinator involved, also our special education resource department. And then, of course, we have administration. We have our counselor because she is involved within our mental health. Um, and that area that we use within our goals and objectives in our continuous and school improvement plan. And then also, it's very important to involve parents as well. And we generally have a community stakeholder. And so within that, those in that committee all meet together and we talk about the things that we need to do. And then those people then go out and talk to everyone else. That gives a good representation. And then they go back and meet again and convene again.
That's great. You answered my next question which was how does the community how do you get the community involved? And so having a community stakeholder on the leadership team would be the answer to that question.
Yes, and then also one thing with getting your community involved. When you're having your family nights, whether it be a family
Yes.
reading and math night, which we have in fall and we have in spring, when we have our PTO programs, which
Right.
with COVID that had died down, we brought that back. But
Mhm.
this year we intend to have our PTO meetings at that time as well. And so we're going to have people from our leadership team talk a little bit about what our goals are and what our
Right.
progress is. So
That's
that
great.
would be another way to involve them.
Yes, and then people see the names, especially when you announce we've got so and so city councilman or so and
Yes.
so, senator. Um, how are priorities determined to accomplish the school's vision and the mission? So you talked about how the mission is district wide
Right.
and goes for all of the schools. But for the school's vision, what did you use to determine the vision? What were you
Well,
aiming for?
you use surveys. So you'll go back and survey again, you'll survey your parents, your older students, and of course your faculty and staff. And then determining what they view is what we need to look at, is what we actually determine for our mission for our school.
Gotcha. That's
Our
great.
vision.
Once again, involving everybody else in the decision making process. How have the roles of technology and comprehensive improvement have they evolved since you first started in education?
Yes.
What all has changed?
Way back in the day, we had a Title I school-wide plan, and then we also had a continuous improvement plan, which were two different plans. And
Right,
then our continuous improvement plan was often involved with our SACs, which is with our accreditation. And so you
right,
just looked at it by itself and you looked at it every so often, even though it is a living, breathing document that should be
right.
looked at regularly
All
throughout
the
the
time.
year. It
Mhm.
was not always looked at that way. And
Right,
then also our school-wide Title I plan was another plan. They both had a lot of the same components, but they didn't talk. So you were
right,
doing dual duty. And then as I've continued through education, they have started to merge the two and they realize there's a lot that goes into both of them. So now
exactly.
with your continuous school improvement plans, you have that component, but you also have a Title I school-wide diagnostic. And although it is separate and an attachment, they blend together. So
It
they
goes
talk, in
hand in
other
hand.
words, and it's
Right.
in one platform together. So
Okay.
that has made a huge impact. And also with technology, we're able to talk like what we're doing right now. People don't always have to be face to face in a meeting,
Right.
although I think that that's valuable and we need to do that as much as we can. You don't have to do that all at all times. And then also, another thing is with our technology and with our data, we're able to pull so many resources now and examine our data by many different avenues. And so you can look at that to better serve when you're looking at your CIP as to what's
Right.
working, what's not.
Right. Um, are the roles and responsibilities in the leadership team, are they the same throughout for each person? Or does maybe like is it similar across grade levels or elementary teacher and or upper grade and primary? We could do that. Does each person have a different role or do they all kind of go to accomplish I know they all want to accomplish the same end goal, but
Well, for example, you, although you're all working together to combine each component, and you're meeting together and you're brainstorming, working on everything together, and you're looking at those benchmarks and you're looking at whether or not something's working or it's not. Because if it's
right.
not working, again, you need to meet and reconvene on what exactly you need to do to fix that.
Yes.
But also, when you're doing things like this, there's certain standards that somebody may look at to examine. I'm thinking again through accreditation.
Right.
You may have one group focus on that standard, and they may gather the data and the information that you have to meet that area, that indicator.
Right.
And another lead teacher or a leadership team member may then lead with another group, another standard or indicator. Now, oftentimes we do things like that because you don't reinvent the wheel and you divide and conquer. But
Exactly.
again, everybody has say so in what we're doing. It's just gathering that evidence, may be led
Exactly.
by one person or another.
Right. Everybody has their own input. Y'all come together and discuss it, but they might each have their own standard.
And
Uh,
you'll get this year because you'll be on our leadership team.
yes, I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready. I'm ready for that first meeting. I was going to talk to her about that, how I get to be on the leadership team committee this year. I'm very honored and privileged. I'm ready. I'm sure I'll learn a lot while being on that team. Um, what do you perceive, or you can speak theoretically or practically, um, what changes do you see that might be in order to get greater student achievement or have a greater positive impact on the kids?
All right, repeat it again.
Ideas, not like reinvent the wheel, but just something that you think that you could do more, or an idea that would be great even if it isn't possible.
To better serve the kids academically.
Yes.
Okay. I think self-efficacy is amazing.
Right.
It's astonishing what it can do as far as through our schools. I think student-led conferences, which it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be necessarily that, but I have been in a school where we led with student-led conferences, and what it did for the growth of that school. They were near the bottom through achievement scores,
Mhm.
and they ended up being like within the top three.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and so, because students are then taking ownership and they understand what their goals are.
Right.
What they need to do to achieve those goals. And it takes some time and planning by the teacher, and it's a little bit scary because you have to release that to them and let
Right.
them gather that evidence to be able to discuss. But once they take that ownership, then it's amazing what they can do as far as growing.
Oh, I can only imagine. I think I would love to. I was on the track at one point of having each student a binder, and
Mhm.
it was moving towards that way. And then I
Yes.
got pregnant with the twins, and so we waited a little while. So I
Yes.
need to put that back into effect because
Yes.
try to get the ball rolling again because I'm sure it's a process as
I
anything.
would love to see it. And
Yes.
within our school, it's just not ready. And so you have
Right.
to look at each school differently. It's not a good or bad. It's
Right.
just what that school is ready to do. And some things there, this school, our school is that we're in now,
Yes.
is ready to do with some things that I was not in another. So
Right.
again, it's everybody has their own personality. And again, like I said, each school takes its own shape, its own climate
Right.
and culture. And I hope that we get to move that way. That's a goal for me because I've seen what it does, but we have to all get on that same page at the
Right.
same time. But
Exactly.
yes, if you are interested in doing that with your kids, I'll be glad to help you and give you some tips.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And I'll just have one more question for you. How do you think the impact, or how do the positions like at the board,
Mhm.
um, teachers, even just colleagues, assistant principals, the superintendent, school board in general, how do those positions impact the decision making of a school?
Okay. Well, again, like you already mentioned, that we have a district mission and vision. So again, we follow theirs. We may alter it some or focus on one area more so than another, because
Right.
again, each school has its own personality.
Mhm.
I believe we're all unique in that way, because again, we have a different community, which again gives a different view of stakeholders.
Right.
But so they lead us in that, and then they check in periodically with us. We have strategic planning meetings every semester. We have one in fall, and then we'll have one again in spring. Since
Right.
you're part of the team, you'll get to meet with them a little bit on that. Um,
Right.
they just go back in to check with us to see what we need so that they may better serve us.
That's
We're
great.
very fortunate within our school system because they view themselves as a support for us, not someone to just delegate what you have to do. They look to see what
Exactly.
your needs are and they help you with those.
That's great. That's good. You want the support, you want the backing.
Yes.
And I think that's about all that I have. Those are you answered all the questions I needed. I appreciate you for meeting with me
Of
tonight.
course.
And once again, this is Dr. Sims, principal of Glencoe Elementary School. Thank you.